It is Tuesday, and as I said today, if you're following us on social media, we are back and we are live tonight. We have been traveling and all around the world, looking and loving on tile in different countries, different places. But tonight we are here, and even John is here. He is not hanging out. He's not been arrested or deported. John Tedesco, what is happening?
Oh man, lots of good stuff. Welcome to the happy hour, the tile happy hour, Craig. What's going on?
Man, I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. You lost like 30 pounds since I saw you. I think it was Christmas time. I don't know. That's what it feels like. But yeah, we're back together. The last episode that we did live, I was solo, and you were traveling, doing some other things, and we're back here. It's February episode, you know?
Wow, I've lost complete count. I'm going to say 34.
47. 47. Episode 47 is tonight. So tonight, we're going to catch up a little bit because even though John and I work together, I'm in Raleigh, he's in New York City, and we haven't talked. So there's been a lot happening in the tile world, and we've been on different sides of it. And I think, John, if I'm not mistaken, you're getting a little snow flurry tonight.
Yeah, well, the snow is over. Actually, I just got in from shoveling about an hour ago, and it was painful because it is heavy and wet, and my shovel had a little wardrobe malfunction, so it was breaking and it was painful.
Yeah,
and I was thinking of Carolinas. I was thinking of Florida.
Yeah, it's not been snowing. It's been like a drizzly here, and I'm wearing shorts today, so sorry. Nayeth, I see you joined on Instagram. I got my Instagram running. Did you get yours, John?
I think I did. I think I'm live on Instagram, maybe Facebook, maybe YouTube. We are everywhere.
Yeah, we are. I know you're not live on Facebook because you didn't enter in your password again, but that's okay. But we are live on YouTube, even X. I'm not sure who watches us on X. I'm hopefully somebody.
I think
and
Elon's
now
watching.
Elon is watching. Want to celebrate the tile, and now on Instagram Live, which is really cool. But if you're watching live right now, we're here to field your tile and stone questions. If you're not alive or not watching live and it's on a replay, we will answer your comments. So drop something in the comments. I will say, John, I don't know if you've seen it on your socials over the last few weeks, but I've seen our comments pick up, people asking questions, and not, normally, I mean, I deal with questions every day. That's my job. But I've been getting questions from the community outside of the tile bar world, which is very exciting.
Yeah, you know what, Craig? That's kind of how this all started, right? You and I just chatting about the business, offline, talking about whatever's going on in our company and the industry. And we had these chats that was so tile kind of nerdy, and we're like, wow, maybe there's 3 or 4 people out in the world that may want to eavesdrop in. So I think we've surpassed 3 or 4 listeners. We're maybe 5 or 6, and we're doing really well. No, this response has been great. I've gotten a lot of people, directly commenting or reaching out to me that I've been able to help answer questions, connect them with the right people in the industry or in the company, perhaps. I know you have done so as well. So I'm really happy with the way the show has evolved. And what's really cool is that, a lot of our content is kind of what they call evergreen, right? In the industry, where it sort of, it's not that time stamped too much. Like it doesn't have to be like the news of the day.
It's not Bitcoin.
It's not.
It's not changing every minute.
Right. Exactly. Bitcoin's up. But and what's cool is that when you and I are so engaged with all these business endeavors and traveling, we can do a repeat of a show, and it actually has value to it because people can hear it again. And we've been posting a lot of little clips, so it's been a lot of fun to watch the interaction, and I think we're making a little bit of a difference, and I think that's what we wanted to do.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, that's kind of been my philosophy ever since I started a few years ago here out of the contracting world. My goal in life, and I wake up excited about every day, is trying to get people's tile installations correct. And I love that you and I connected on that. And we just said, hey, let's just talk about it and get everybody involved. And so we say all that to say, if you know somebody that loves tile or has tile questions, this is the place for them. I mean, if most Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are live here. If we're not live here, like John said, we will throw up something that it will be beneficial. And we get a lot of, I think, the traffic, because maybe you weren't looking for sealers when we originally did it, but maybe you're looking for sealers now, and there's a new broadcast that's old to us but new to you. So that's what's so exciting. And now that we've got other platforms up, so where you're watching from, I see we've got people on this screen here, which I'm pointing there, and I got people on this screen over here. So let us know where you're watching from, and that's exciting to us. I miss our friends in Australia. I haven't seen them in the last few weeks. I'm hoping Australia's doing okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they're doing fine. Yeah, it's really good to see people chiming in from different parts of the industry and different parts of the world, really, to watch the show. And yeah, so if you're watching now live, let us know where you're watching from, or shoot us a message. And we'd love to connect with you. Ask a question if you have a question or a comment about the industry. And it's been exciting in the industry. It's been really exciting because the company that we work for, Tile Bar, is just growing exponentially. There's just so many different things happening in so many different levels, all positive, all forward, in a very aggressive but controlled manner. And I say controlled in the sense that there's growing pains in doing that, but controlled in a sense like we know what we're doing and we're making a difference. And I feel that we're kind of at a critical mass where if you're shopping for tile, or if you're a specifier specifying product, or you're a contractor installing tile, I think most people have had the opportunity to come across Tile Bar, and I'm really proud of that. Yeah, I think you're a part of that, Craig. You've really done an amazing job with educating our staff, educating just the public in general on your endeavors outside of the podcast.
Yeah,
and that's kind of I think that's where your heart is.
Absolutely. Welcome, Facebook user. Don't know why it doesn't come up with a name. Based out of Central Florida, but now in West Palm Beach, which sounds really nice. And I think that's where John's heading. And also welcome to Giovanni on Instagram over here. And thanks for the follow. So yeah, as you're saying, our team is growing, and Tile Bar is unique. I remember when I came here a few years ago, a lot of my old school distributor friends were like, what is this? Is this a good move for you? But it's been cool to see how the growth has happened, and now that there is the name in the industry. But yeah, you're right. My job was kind of education. After spending 20 plus years in the commercial installation industry. And John, this is why we didn't have a show last week, is I was in Panama. And what is really crazy about that is Tile Bar has associates in Panama that are handling different parts of the Tile Bar business. And so I went down there and was able to spend some time with that team. We did some teaching and some learning and some hands-on stuff, which is super awesome for me because I love doing that. And I've never, I've been out of the country, but I've never traveled out of the country and taught like that. So it was super cool. And shout out to all the Panamanian team. Buenos tardes, amigos.
That's wow. That's real. I want to know more about that trip, but how was the trip itself? How long of a ride was that?
What's really crazy.
Did you drive?
Yeah, I could have driven because there is land all the way to Panama. And
Yeah, I was kidding, but now I realize.
Somebody's admiring your collection behind you there, John. So
Well,
I'm sure that may be Red Beard.
It's
Yeah.
a collection, but it's a consumable collection. It's not
It's
meant to be,
it's not
meant
just
to be
for show,
stank.
is what you're saying.
There's real alcohol in them there fields.
Yeah. And of course, behind me, I've just got camera equipment.
This is my secret whiskey.
That looks like something off the set of Dallas.
Yeah, right.
but no, I'll tell you something about Panama. Off the tile subject, it was surprising how large Panama City was. I really didn't do any research before I went, other than getting the plane tickets down there. But Panama City's footprint is huge. When you think of Manhattan and New York, it's kind of all centralized into, I don't know, what's Manhattan, 6 square miles, 10 square miles, something like it. I feel like Panama was like 30 miles. And
wow.
The buildings weren't super skyscrapers, but they were 30, 40, 50 stories high, and there were hundreds of them. So that was the first thing. The next thing is the sun rises in the east, correct?
Okay. So you're asking me in Panama where it rises, or here?
It still rises in the east in Panama, but what's crazy is the way Panama is shaped. It actually rises. You look at it and it rises over the Pacific Ocean. Oh,
that's interesting.
That is interesting. Then it's because Panama is like a U shape.
I got to look at a map to
understand. When I was traveling with our customer service team, Amy, she said, that's the Pacific Ocean. I'm like, it can't be the Pacific Ocean. That's the sun, and it rises over the Atlantic Ocean. Wow. But if you look at it, there's a little curly Q. I don't know. But
so Amy from our team was down there as well.
Amy and Christina from our team were down there as well.
Wow. Yeah. They're amazing. Talk about two dynamic people that have contributed so much to our company and who have risen up in the ranks and just not even asking, they just like keep doing and doing. And then companies like, hey, we need someone with an elevated role, elevated responsibilities. And they've been killing it. They've been really doing great.
They're great. And they know that I'm not been in the customer service side of things other than, serving clients one-on-one. But, when you're dealing with phone banks and emails and all that stuff, what's crazy is the investment in technology that helps us do that. And I was talking to them and they were just amazing me that, when there is something that comes across the screen, no matter if it's a phone call, a text, or an email, all that is collected in one thing. So if you answer the phone, John, one day and a client calls and you're off, the next service member can actually take that information and see everything, no matter how it was done. And sorcery to me. But so those are the things that Talbar has invested in to really give us a leg up in
that
serving
platform
our
called
client.
Lively something.
Gladly
or Lively or something. I think it's a platform.
Yeah, I saw bags that had some gifts in it from that service. But from what I heard, and I know nothing about it, I'm a tile nerd, not a software nerd. It's like creme de la creme, and it helps us serve our customers. So that was really cool. And the people in Panama were amazing. They were so nice. Not only our people, but the people in the hotel. And I actually, kind of walked around the old city. I went and saw the Panama Canal while I was there one afternoon, just because I figured I think it's considered one of the 7 man-made wonders of the world.
You know what? If you're in Panama, right, you got to see the Panama Canal. Yeah. Were you able to get a vantage point and like really look at it?
Yeah, I have pictures. Maybe I'll see if I can bring up some pictures.
That's a engineering marvel, right? That is amazing.
Oh yeah, it is amazing. And I will say, the IMAX movie at the Panama Canal was probably a little more amazing than watching the Panama. Really looking at the Panama Canal, it's like, okay, there's a boat and you see it. And you see it
because you're
up.
not seeing it in it. You need some time lapse, right, to really appreciate.
Yeah, you need a time lapse really to appreciate. Go Fish Office. Yes. Hello again. Good to see you. Yes, there's some time lapse that really kind of helps you, but it takes a minute to raise up those boats and all that. But it was really amazing. And what's cool to think about, and this is what we talked about when I was with the team, is there's a good percentage of the tile that shows up in our New Jersey and Arizona warehouse that comes through that canal. That's neat to think about.
Yeah, that really is. I feel that the whole world is a whole better place because of the Panama Canal and the ingenuity that went into developing that. And I did see some information about that once. That was just so intriguing. So you said they have an IMAX movie? They got
an IMAX movie. Of course, it's narrated by Morgan Freeman.
Of course. If I had, when they do the documentary about John Tedisco,
narrated by Morgan Freeman, of course.
Yeah.
So that was it was good. It talked about the history of the Panama Canal, and what was really cool about it is to get the canal built,
right?
Helped the medical industry.
I'm sorry. While you're talking, someone sent me a message about the show. I have a question, but go ahead. I'm listening.
And the medical industry took a step forward because malaria was killing so many people. And so they thought malaria was not, they didn't realize it was in the mosquitoes until we started building the Panama Canal.
Wow.
And so that was kind of one of those things that they figured out there. And then they figured out, well, hey, if we kill the mosquitoes, we may not die from malaria. And so that's when they started working on that. And then the death rate of working on the canal actually went down. And Naif, you're from there. If I'm telling the wrong story, you correct me.
You know what? It's pretty scary. Think about, like, you can literally die from like a mosquito bite. That's just like, how crazy is that?
Yeah, that is nuts.
It really is. So wait, now you had this trip planned before. What happened?
Yeah. So here's a picture of one of these large container ships going through the canal. All
right.
So you see the canal is two sides there. And there's another ship behind this one. But that's the canal. This kind of those mountains up front, or that you see in front of us, that's the city and the kind of the Gulf of Panama. And where the boat is coming from is the Pacific.
So that boat seems to be pretty much like ground level almost. So I wonder what stage that's in.
That's in the last stage, so it's lowering it down. The Panama Canal is not only a canal, but the dam was created to make a lake to kind of go across Panama. So you have the locks at either end of the lake. So this is the lock to get it from the highest part of the lake down to sea level.
Got it. That's wild.
It was pretty neat, and all the water and stuff coming in and coming out is. I of course I didn't remember any of those numbers, but it's thousands of gallons of water that go and lift that boat, and these little trucks that are kind of running beside it are not pulling it. It's moving forward under its own power, but those little trucks steer it to keep it from hitting the walls.
Oh, I see. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I wonder how this compares to other canals of similar design.
I think this one's better.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what happened? You were supposed to go to Panama a few months ago.
Yeah. So originally this trip was planned in the last part of December, and we Amy, Christina, and I finished up our holiday party in New York and boarded the plane. And the plane unboarded us. It broke down on the tarmac.
That is painful. So that was like Monday night, I think, right? And
yeah, it was an all-day Monday nightmare.
So you in JFK or LaGuardia?
We were in JFK all
Okay.
day. It took them 3 hours to figure out they weren't going to be able to fix the plane. And then it took
That's the worst, right?
another several hours for me to find, because then we just decided, well, I'm going back to, I said, I'm going back to Raleigh. And
Oh
so
my
we
God.
canceled, and finally I made it back to Raleigh and rescheduled for this. And so it was neat. Here's this is Panama from the sky, which is huge.
Oh, wow. That was landing.
That was us coming in, landing.
Right. That's really cool.
And our office building in Panama it's got a pretty neat view. And I will say, the team members there are amazing. And but
so what did you guys talk about when you were there? What'd you train them on?
But when when this is your view for every day to work, it makes it pretty easy. And this building over here kind of looks like containers stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Going up. So yeah,
pretty cool.
So I love to travel, and I love it more when my wife's able to go with me. She wasn't able to make it on this one, but our team in Panama is customer service, and that's their background. So their background is not necessarily tile. So what Amy and Christina and Mario, who are our leads in New York in your office, we talked about it. Well, let's break them in easy. And so we did 2 days of training. And my philosophy has always been, until you do it, you don't really understand what's happening. So,
right.
John, if somebody calls you and says, hey, John, this grout is not spreading correctly, if you've never spread grout before, you can't relate. So this education that we did there, we everybody that was on the team set sample boards of 3x6 subway tile. So we actually had the boards there. We spread the adhesive, we set the tiles, we cleaned the tiles, and then the next day we talked about grout, and then we grouted the tiles. And what I love about those classes is when I say, okay, do you have a little bit more patience for your client that's calling you frustrated? And they're like, oh yeah, I didn't realize this was so thick or so sticky or so messy. And I will say, Eloy Nayeth, you can tell him I talked about him. Eloy he's a great customer service guy, and he had on his fancy shoes, his fancy pants. He made an absolute mess. And because tile setting can be dirty and nasty. And so I'm hoping they asked me back, because I do believe we may have ruined the carpet. But that's what we did. So for 2 days, we did an hour a day. In 2 separate classes, and we set tile, grouted tile, answered a lot of questions, had a lot of laughs and some fun.
That's amazing. Yeah. So on any topic, if you were to tell me about something and I hear it and I listen to it and you try to retain it, but I find it's probably not easy to recall that information at a later date. Whereas if I actually participated in something and did it, and you're not even really remembering what was said. You just kind of, you kind of just experienced it. And then I feel it's kind of easier to recall an experience, right? Like doing something or being hands-on and working on something, as opposed to just like textbook. Yeah, I read something. I mean, I could read a book, I get to the bottom of the page, and sometimes I forget what was on the top of the page. It's crazy.
That's right.
So,
and that's what they say, I think the people that get the most out of any wealth that they have, they would rather purchase experiences rather than things. Here's a picture of the team here.
That's cool.
That's half of the team. I don't know if that's team A or team B. And so we had gray and white tiles. I don't know why it's so small, but the gray and the white tiles, and some of them made patterns, and so it was fun, and they did good. There's Eloy there. You can't tell because he actually wore the thing, but he is got stuff all over him.
It's a good looking team. Looks like looks like they really are glowing, like happy to be there and happy to do that. You know what? You could be in any industry and be in customer service. I guarantee you, like we're in like the 1 percentile of a company that would literally fly someone out of, their office to another place and teach them hands-on. Let's say you're on customer service for, a cell phone company or, some kind of product. They're going to fly you somewhere to like show them hands-on. They're just going to teach them textbooks. Like, okay, if someone says this, say that. If you do this, do that. And I find it amazing. And I'm really intrigued by, I guess maybe impressed is the word, really impressed how our company invests. I mean, just think about it. I mean, on the level of importance of like training a customer service team. I mean, we know what you did was important, but textbook wise or, training 101, that's like the last thing someone's thinking about. They're thinking about, the content, written content, what to say, verbalize, and all the back end, the technology and how to use all the communication tools that we have. But that hands-on experience is amazing. It's also team building, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you talked to experience is good. You're right. Thanks, Go Fish. And Nayef was in the training. She said it was amazing. We all loved it, and learned a lot from it. But yeah, when you talk to these men and women every day, and you don't have a relationship with them, it seems very surface. But as soon as you meet them and you go, oh, that's Oscar. I remember talking to Oscar about XYZ, and that's Eva, and you can put a face with the name, right. And you can, when you see somebody in person, it's like you can see their quirks and the things they do. Eloy actually helped me out. We made a lot of fun of him because he was terribly dirty through the thing, but he got me a friend's name at the canal, and it closes here, be here by here, and then when you leave there, go to the old city, and just was very and I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget Eloy, not only because he was the dirtiest student I've ever had, but also he went extra mile and tried to help me out. Go Fish Office, thanks for sharing us, Nora and friends. Thanks for joining in tonight. We got a Facebook user that had a tile setter that had OCD, and he wouldn't have a speck of thin set on him. I've known some tile setters like that. Absolutely. What's up? I don't even know how to say it. Wicked Insanity. What's happening? Insanity. Hello. But yeah, so that was the Panama time. I look forward to going back. I know I've already, gosh, it's hard to believe we're halfway through. If you don't know,
tomorrow, the first quarter,
tomorrow is Valentine's Day for anybody who doesn't remember. Yeah, let's say that right now.
It's Valentine's Day. It's Ash Wednesday as well.
That's right. I can't remember the last time. I'm not Catholic, but I can't remember the last time Valentine's Day fell on Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, so, it's been a while.
Hey,
Craig, I wanted to ask you about the food.
The food, for the most part, was amazing. I am not afraid to eat anything. So let me tell you, I'm going to go, I've got my picture roll up here, but we went to a traditional place to eat, and we had the traditional food, a lot of cornmeal. I'm not sure if that was just where I was, but there was a ton of cornmeal.
Cornmeal in what form? Like
every form. I tell you, the dinner we had, whatever night it was, I don't even remember the night. But we had like a family style plate where, kind of everybody kind of jumped in. They had a cornmeal, like empanada, and I'm using the wrong words, so Nayeth, correct me. And it was had beef wrapped in it. And then there was a cornmeal like stick, and there was a cornmeal. I have a picture of it. Then they had a sausage that was kind of, I'm sure it was wrapped in cornmeal. I don't know, but cornmeal was one of the big dishes. but everything was great. Plantains, all the beef was very good. I can't find my picture of the food, but I'll tell you, here's where I messed up. I'm a New York style cheesecake guy. Anytime there's cheesecake on the menu, I'm going to order it. Here's the picture. That's just what I do. And, but I didn't think about the cheesecake, the cheese in Panama may be a little bit different. It was a lot different. And, so this was our main course, and it was just a little bit of everything. We call that, the plate that has the fries, the papa fritas on it. It was actually a piece of steak that was breaded and fried. I mean, that's like home for me. The large plate had a little bit of everything in it. It was all amazing. I got some shellfish, and after I ordered it, I realized I was the only one that liked it, so I ate all that myself.
Wait, so the cheesecake's not on that picture, right?
The cheesecake is not on that picture. And I didn't take a picture.
Wait, but it wasn't like American cheese or anything.
It was not American cheese. It was a weird tasting cheese.
Well, there's two types of cheesecake I know. Is Italian cheesecake, right? And then there's like American cheesecake. So American cheesecake is the base ingredient is cream cheese, and Italian cheesecake, the base ingredient is ricotta. And they're both very different from each other. The American cream cheese is very like white and creamy, very creamy and heavy. Italian cheesecake, the outside is kind of a little browner, and the inside is a little drier, a lot drier, but different flavor altogether. It's really almost two different.
Well, this was all brown, and it was weird. But the weirdest thing was there was like a brown pudding that had and I don't know what kind of cheese it was, but it was a very bitter cheese.
Oh, really?
On top of it, it was almost like a feta, but it was more potent than feta. So I don't know. That was the worst part. But here, I went to the old city by myself and just kind of walked around, and I took a lot of pictures, and then I had a meal by myself, and I just went traditional American.
Love it.
Ribeye steak and papa fritas.
That looks good.
But that was it. But we're here to talk about tile. Though tile,
I'd rather talk about steak.
Steak is my weakness and my favorite. But so that trip was opportunity to learn. And I don't know everything, but I do enjoy sharing what I know. And I'm excited for this next season in John and our podcast history and in our workday history. We're changing things up. We have a new part of our website that's coming online that's going to be a learning center that I'm very excited about. And every month I do a class with the entire customer service team and the entire sales team, and that's this week. And we're going to talk about grout. What do you know about grout, John?
Grout. Isn't that a form of cornmeal or something?
That's right. Go Fish Office is here and asking, what education do you need to tile? That's a good question. What would your qualifications of education would you want a tile setter to have for one of your clients?
Well, I mean, it's kind of different levels, right? First is substrate, right? Substrate is critical. You need to figure out what the substrate is, understand it, and then based on that, you need to then determine the use. Okay, where is this? Is this a steam shower? Is this a commercial, restaurant floor? And then you need to I would say you need to know the product. What kind of product are you using? Is it porcelain? Is it marble? Is it LVT? Is it glass? And then fourth is I don't know how much you can charge the customer to install it, But grout is, speaking of grout, I call it the weak link in the tile industry, because historically, tile is always strong and non-porous for the most
Yeah.
part. And historically, especially in the good old original days of tile going from just commercial, basic to being a real decorative fashion element,
Yeah.
performance of the grout really created some issues with
Yeah.
staining or cracking, and also it was kind of the trickiest to install and sometimes left to the low man on the totem pole in the installation crew, and instructions aren't followed. So grout kind of causes a lot of grief. There's no one in the tile business who hasn't had grief with grout.
Yeah.
I have to
I used
say
to call
that it's
grout the
improved.
necessary evil.
The necessary evil, and you need grout, right? No matter what,
Yeah.
even if you have a really tight space. And for those of you that are super novice out there, when you install tile, you need to stick it to the substrate, but tiles are individual, and the space between the tile, if it's 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch or even almost non-existent 1/16 of an inch, you need to fill it with some kind of substrate so dirt and moisture don't get in there. And you use grout, and originally it was just basic, some not even fancy cement, just something that was the right coarseness, right, to fit in there in the grout joint. And now there's a lot of guys in white coats trying to figure out how to make grout better.
Right.
Usually,
That's right. I'll give you a sneak peek.
Italian.
A sneak peek of our training for this week is it's all about grout. And
really?
John, we're going to talk about the 3 things of why there is grout. And I know you know this, but somebody that maybe has not been in the industry long may always ask that question. Well, why do I need grout? Well, here's the 3 things of why: the structural integrity, aesthetics.
Was this the answer you were looking for me to give?
Yeah, it was, but that's okay. That's okay. You looked around.
I was talking 30,000 feet answer.
Yeah, exactly. And here, this is great. I say this all the time. Thank you. The best, where was it? I just read it.
Oh, that's from our, well, let's call them FU.
That's right. FU said you can have the best laid floor ever, and a bad grout job can ruin it. I say that all the time. I say it a little differently, but I say that all the time because grout is one of those things that you look at this page here, which talks about the aesthetics of grout. And I'm not going to read that to you, but you see these 4 tiles are all the same tile.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But with 4 different colors in it, it gives you a completely different look.
Yeah.
And when you have the different looks, then it can be good or bad, I tell
it should be deliberate, but sometimes people, right, if you pick a white subway tile, classic example, if you go to our website, we give suggestions on grout. Our automatic default is to blend, right? So if you have a blue tile, we're probably going to have a bluish grout. But if you pick white subway tile and you have white grout, which is what most people use, great. You go to I was just in actually a very pretty high-end restaurant with a 3x6 subway tile in the bathroom, and they use black grout, and they worked that into the aesthetics. But I knew the reason they picked black grout, because here you are in a nice, bathroom in a nice restaurant, and as clean as this bathroom was, and it was clean, it's hard to make black grout look dirty, right? It looks intentional. So if it was white grout, it's inevitable. It's hard to look pristine all the time. So it's a good choice. Sometimes there's a, technical reason to pick. You change your aesthetic for performance, right? And that's pretty cool. Grout is a sticky stuff that holds the tile together.
I love that. That's pretty basic, but it's kind of true.
Yeah.
There's one of the things that I try to point out here is that grout does add structural integrity to your tile system. I'm getting kind of nerdy now, so if you've made it this far in the podcast is when we get a little nerdy. But your grout, if installed correctly, is going to bond to each side of the tile and to the substrate, which creates a really strong bond. And if you know Vision Tile and Stone, which is Nathan Morrell, I've got a little video here that he posted the other day. I don't think I can play that in here. But the only thing that was holding this entire system together was the grout. The minute he touched the tile, it all fell off the wall. But the grout was holding it together because the grout had bonded to each side of the tile. But unfortunately, there was water going behind it, and it had rotted away the substrate.
Yeah, you certainly, that's an extreme example of it holding it together. Like, you don't want to be in that position and say, don't worry about it. We'll use the wrong glue. The grout will hold it together. But it does, serve some purpose there. So back when grout was $10 a bag, which it no longer is, I used to say a $10 bag of grout can really ruin your day if if you mess it up. And there are a lot of things you can mess up. And I think the technology now allows for, it's a lot more forgiving, right?
Yeah. Well, the grouts are a lot stronger now. Now there's a double-edged sword to that. But I had I remember when I started in the industry, this was back in 2000, we had this apprentice. Now he was an apprentice and probably been an apprentice for 20 years. And so he never graduated.
In high school, we called that a super senior.
Yeah. But his famous saying was, when in doubt, grout, because grout and gravity will save a lot of jobs. Maybe we should do some t-shirts,
when in doubt, grout.
When in doubt, grout. I don't know, that maybe not telling the appropriate story, but you're right. Grouts have come a long way. They're much stronger now. They have a lot more glue. They have a lot more
bonding capabilities,
flexibility.
But then doesn't sometimes strength count? Isn't that opposite of flexibility, or not necessarily?
It can be. There's definitely a trade-off. There's a lot of fibrous grouts now. They got grouts with Kevlar in them, but they also have latex in them. And but one of the bad things about
vegan and gluten,
there's vegan grout and gluten-free grout is my favorite. But one of the downsides of that is it is so sticky, it'll stick to the face of your tile, and then you're causing another issue.
Yeah, sure. I think I'm most excited about the following with grout, where you used to have to ask, is it a big grout space or a small grout space, right? And now with the Latacrete Permacolor, you don't have to ask that question anymore, and so you get the grout correct. And also, I think it actually minimizes waste, because often you're using the same color wall and floor, right? It's common, and now you have to get two different SKUs. If you're picking the same grout color and you have two different grout spaces, and often that's the case, on the wall and floor, even if it's the same tile, sometimes you put in a different grout space. You can just buy one unit, or whatever you need,
right? So just grout the whole thing. That is the good thing about the high performance grouts, is they can fit from 1/16 of an inch grout joint all the way up to 1/2 an inch. Yeah, and that covers amazing. Most all your bases.
Absolutely. Have you ever?
So that's going to be our training this week. So Nayef, you can skip the training. No, don't.
She's got the cheat. She's got the cheat sheet.
She's got the cheat sheet. But that's going to be our training, and so you'll see.
Wait, so is Nayef on our team in Panama, and she's watching now?
Yeah, Nayef's on the team in Panama, and she's watching now. She actually brought it up.
Hey, Nayef, nice to meet you.
When I was there, she was actually in the office when I was in the office for our last class. I don't know if you met her. But
yeah,
she was,
I remember.
She was traveling then, so.
You had two sessions that day, right? In the office, there's a second session, maybe.
There was two sessions. We did a grout, glass tile. We're doing glass tile this past. I don't know. I'm toying around with this summer, and I hate it. This is the worst tile in the world.
What's that?
River Rock and Pebbles. I hate them, but I feel like I need to do a class on them.
You know what? I agree with you. Because
you hate them also?
No, I more agree. I agree. I'm agreeing that a class is helpful and necessary, because River Rock is it is something where some people really love and some people really hate. I think
Yeah.
more people love it. I mean, it kind of peaked. I mean, it was a time it was like very trendy,
Right.
but now it's kind of leveled off and it's used and it's normally associated with the, spa look, right? And
Yes.
and it used to be just super very rounded river rock. Now there are some flatter ones, which I think alleviate some of the reasons why you don't like it, maybe. But
Yes.
grout could really, that's not a DIYer. You can't use Pebble and be a DIY grouter.
DIYer. Yeah.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
it
So
yourself,
that's what I'm
DIY.
thinking about for our summer hands-on is to do a river rock class. I'm toying around with that.
Anticipate a big mess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was trying to think about how to do it. Do I let everybody set it together, or maybe I think
I would have
some
all the
teams.
boards already mounted and just
You think
focus
so?
on the grout part, because the grout part is the tricky part. And
well, I get more questions nowadays about the sheet spacing, and I get more issues about that than I do the grout anymore.
what camp are you in as far as removing river rock from sheets and set them individually?
I think if you want it to look right, you remove it from the sheet and you set them individually. I know it's not popular, but I think in my opinion, that's the only way that river rock and pebbles look good.
Yeah. A lot of installers, a lot of that. Well, where that came from? It was the really high end, OCD installers that put down river rock, and then as much hard as they tried not to have the sheets, shape revealed after grouting, they'd get so frustrated, and then they realized all the time that they spent to try to make it look, adjusting the sheets. Let's just freaking take them off the sheet and put it down.
Well, I saw, I don't know if you follow him if you follow contractor Sal DeBlasi, and he's from Boston. He did what
do they call grout in Boston? Grout.
I don't know. But he did a TikTok the other day about how he does, and I think this was him, how he does it. And what he does is he sets them in sheets, but he leaves a 2 or 3 inch gap between the sheets. And that's what he fills in with individual pebbles, rather than doing the entire thing with individual pebbles. Then you only filling in and doing the abstract between the sheets.
So he's not dismantling the sheet at all. He's just setting the sheet with a big enough space to accept another row of river rock.
Row or two, and then that's what's dismantled, and he hand places in the row or two.
That's crazy. I mean, that's cool. Can you imagine walking in on that job and not knowing what he's doing? You're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I get comments like that on some of the pictures I post that of samples where I'm trying to make it do something. They're like, what is wrong with this grout? And people are all giving me a hard time. I'm like, it's a test, friends. But yeah.
That's pretty cool. So the only thing is you need some skill in eyeballing it, right? Because if you're putting down, say, 4 sheets of mosaic, the first 4 sheets, and you're putting a big space, you got to make sure that you properly assessed how much space you're leaving.
Yeah.
So when you're putting the loose pieces in, you're not creating a bigger problem, right?
Yeah. Yes. And I agree with you, Redbeard. You're absolutely right that the customer needs to be aware of the cost of river rocks. And this is what, and I assume John advises his clients, is this is not a basic material. This is going to be, normally it's not cheap either, but the labor is going to be more.
Well, you know what? It's setting expectations. So nowhere in the world is any manufacturer going to say, we recommend you setting the, we might as well just deliver it in a barrel or a bag loose, and then nobody would buy it or nobody would install it. So I think if I was an installer and someone says River Rock, oh yeah, River Rock, sure. Okay, well, 2 things. Let's go to the website and take a look at the product installed. I guarantee you you could see where the grout lines are. If you're okay with that, then it's this much a square foot. This is the price for the job, which is what 90% of the guys will do, and we're going to charge you that way. If you want it to be pristine, if it was my house, and
this is how I would do it.
So I would do it, but it's going to cost you I'll give you
X
two
amount.
quotes. That's how I would handle it.
Because there's nothing worse, and I say this from a contractor's perspective and from an owner's perspective or something, is walking in and you having one expectation and the owner having another expectation, and it happening at the end of the job, because there's no worse feeling than walking into the job and the owner says, I didn't expect it to look like that.
Yeah,
well,
but that's where a professional comes in. A professional installer has a responsibility first to himself and to his business to say, okay, you're picking this product, whatever it is, River Rock or something else. Let me just clue you, think of the pitfalls, right? Think of what could go wrong. And it's like a customer coming in and saying, okay, I want the grout space to be 1/16 of an inch, and it's a ceramic tile or porcelain, and it's got a scalloped edge. Yeah. And you got to say, look, it may not be able to put it that close, right. And you have to really set the expectations properly. So that's where I think experience comes in. Sometimes I feel installers are either timid or not necessarily, I don't know, they're really good installers, but they may not be the best communicators sometimes, or the best business guys.
Well, and as a having my own installation business for a while, you don't want to lose a job either. So it's like, I don't want to chase them away by going, this is going to be difficult. This is going to be hard. I'm going to charge more. And that, in my opinion, this is where that's where a relationship comes. And, they've got to trust you, and you've got to trust them that you're going to do the right job no matter what. Good point. That's that's really, where we have to go.
Yeah, it's really being prepared instead of saying, this and that and this. Just just very calmly say, A and B. This is how most guys will do it, and I'm going to price the job this way. If you're interested in knowing the pitfall of that, say you may see the seams between each seat, and you may realize it's not going to look seamless. It may not look like just river rocks were flowing down your shower. It may look like it came in a sheet, even if I do it perfectly, because the sheets aren't perfect, right? And it's not easy. Then there is another option. I'll just quote it both ways, and don't say, don't mumble and grumble. Just give them two prices. That's what I would do.
But I say right now we start a petition to ban River Rock.
Yeah, or just sell it. Yeah, or just sell it by the barrel and let people charge accordingly.
I remember I did a hospital. It's probably been 20 years ago. That you could order the glass tile unmounted, and they would send it to you in bags. Do you remember that?
Glass tile.
Yeah, glass mosaics. Well, they were like,
there's an industry,
and then you'd say, hey, listen, I need extra whatever, and they would send it to you in a bag.
Yeah, well, there's a whole nother part of the tile industry that's the artisan,
True.
No one's buying. Artisans aren't necessarily buying glass in that's netted. They're buying it loose before it's netted. Companies that manufacture glass, say like Oceanside Glass, they make what they call bulk, and they'll make bulk, and they'll know they have enough glass to produce 600 sheets on hand, and then they wait for an order to come in to actually put it into mount. It's two types of production. There's the bulk stock, and that is closely tied to the firing schedule in the kilns. So that's where the backlog could happen, because if they're running these kilns and they can't just run a small batch of a yellow glass, they have to kind of do it in batches, big batches. They'll build bulk stock, and it's loose, and then they can check stock on the bulk stock, and then look at their netting schedule and say, we need 2 weeks to net these, or 3 days to net it. So it's pretty interesting.
You're right, Redbeard. There are a lot of people out there running around that just bought a bucket and a van and are trying to be tile mechanics.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So John, next week, what's happening next week? Where are you?
Next week, John's Disco is in sunny Florida, so I will be out of office. So we're gonna get Craig solo, or we're gonna get a famous encore presentation of the Tile Happy Hour. So everyone, let's stay tuned.
That's right. Hey, maybe we'll do a vote. Because I am out of I'm working next week, but I'm not going to be in my studio next week. Probably next week.
So maybe we should do an encore because we've had
encore.
requests. We've had requests from people from different to repeat certain shows. So let's go back to that list, check our notes, and we'll do an encore presentation. But it is evergreen, omnipresent, current material, and you'll definitely learn. You know, I've watched some of the shows on these encores, and I was like, oh, because I don't get to. Do you ever? I'm not comparing ourselves to like the actor in a big movie, but it's like, oh, I never watched. You should,
because we are.
Yeah, but you ever hear actors say, oh, I've never watched a movie, and you're like, what? You never watched a movie? But you know, and that they're starring in. Sometimes they don't want to watch it, but sometimes you just life's so busy, like your job is to do stuff.
Yeah, and you've spent enough time with that, you don't want to. I think it's different for us because, well, when I watch the playback, or if I watch a playback, or even the shorts, I don't remember it. Because we're in the middle of it, and you and I are talking, and I'm listening to you, and then I'm also thinking about what I got to say, and I'm looking at the time, trying to make sure we're on time. So there's so much going on. I forgot. Did I really say that? Was that? You know?
Well, yeah. Sometimes we have a short, just like, yeah, I know that. So Craig is the tech guy here, cutting up our videos and doing all that post production stuff. And sometimes something will pop up, and I'll literally, like, it's pretty weird, but I like maybe won't recognize our faces. Like, I'll just hear people talking. I was, oh, that's an interesting time. Oh, wait, that's Craig talking. So it's pretty fun to watch. But it's really cool knowing that some people are enjoying the conversation. If you're in the industry, right, you want to talk about. I mean, thank God we're not in, I don't know, the funeral business. I don't know what we'd be talking about, but the newest, fluids.
I guess I've only got one funeral joke. So
all right. So hey, look, this has been fun. We're glad that everyone is tuned in, and if you're watching this live, thank you. If you're watching this on a repeat encore presentation, thanks for watching. Drop a note, let us know that you were here. Let us know if you have a topic or a question. We'd be glad to answer it. And next this Tuesday coming up, next week, you'll see a great presentation, and we have a lot of great guests coming on. So, and we have lurking in our future coverings, right?
That's right.
Coming up. So we'll be live from Atlanta, Georgia, and we'll also be live from West Palm Beach sometime later in the summer, right?
Yeah, and I think we should go to Go Fish Office. I don't know where Go Fish Office is, but they made chicken, broccoli, mushroom Alfredo for dinner tonight.
All right.
So warm John and I up a bowl. We're on the way.
What's what we call TMI in the podcast world. So, hey, look, thanks for being here, everybody. This is John Tedisco, and I'd like to wish you guys peace, health, and happiness.
Yeah. And it's been fun. Great catching up with you, John. And we'll talk soon, and we'll be back soon. If you got an idea of what you want to see on a rerun, hey, let us know what your top 3 are. You guys choose what you want to see next. I'd love to hear that. But as we keep traveling, and don't ever forget, let's keep learning together and tile the world.